Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge and Company. Martina Arroyo is an American soprano and an American treasure. She's sung in all the world's finest opera houses and with the greatest symphony orchestras. But the first time her voice was heard by New Yorkers was not at the Met. It was at Hunter College High School, where she was a student. So welcome, and please tell us that wonderful story.
Well, actually, what happened at Hunter High School was that the college used to have their opera workshop rehearsals in our auditorium. And, you know, when young girls are together, they can be really very bold. And we would hear them singing opera, and we didn't know what they were singing. And we'd stand outside and woo behind them, and we were caught. And as a punishment, we had to go in and sing for the director. And each of the girls sang a little something, and I chose to sing the Jewel song from Faust that I had learned off of a recording. And it was awful. And the director said, "That was very nice. What language was that?" And from the very first moment, I thought, languages. We got to work on languages. But that wasn't the first time anyone heard my voice, because I had sung in church all of my life, in the choir, children's choir and young people's choir. And that was meaningful because you get to sing in front of people without being afraid.
And you learn and you project. I mean, it's a whole other world, right?
Well, it's another wonderful world, you know, just singing, learning to enjoy performing for people and not letting it bother you and make you nervous, but rather that you enjoy it as well.
Were you born in Manhattan?
I'm a New York girl, yes, indeed.
And you went to grade school and then Hunter High School?
Hunter High School,
and
Hunter
then
College.
To Hunter College.
And all because of the opera workshop, because I was given a scholarship by Dr. Schuster, who was president at the time, and stayed there so that I could go to the opera workshop and study at the Uptown campus and come downtown every evening from 4 until 8 and work in the opera workshop, which was wonderful.
Isn't that exciting? Do they still have that?
No, they don't, and that's a great pity.
And you're on the board of trustees, aren't
Yes,
you?
and tried to get it started again. As a matter of fact, so did Regina Resnick, who was on the board of trustees, and because both of us have always felt that having a great career was wonderful, but the most important part was then to reach out and help the young people coming along.
Which is what you're doing now.
We're both doing that, yes.
Okay. You have a foundation. I'm
Yes.
going to come back to hear about your performances and how you started and what it was like to travel. But let's talk about how you're helping young people and replacing the Hunter College Opera Workshop in a way.
Well,
part of it.
The workshop was about learning an entire role. It was also about learning character. And so often the universities and colleges, music schools, give you a great deal of music in terms of harmony theory, voice lessons, but not and some language, but not many emphasize the importance of learning an entire role. It's one thing to sing the arias from Marriage of Figaro, but then 200 pages of recitative is another story, and that must be addressed. And I thought that perhaps this foundation would set up a course that allowed young people to slowly work through roles, because as I said, they must learn the entire role, whatever it is, working out the languages musically, the phrasing as well, but the character development. Why that character is that way, where the character came from, where did the composer take that character from, or the librettist.
What's the world that these characters are living in?
Yes, exactly. Well, how are they dressed? What's going on at that time that this is taking place? How does it influence your performance? So, and it started out as a class, and the foundation was built to help that class. And then we, realizing that wasn't enough, started a 6-week program in the summer, which is in depth from 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening.
In New York City.
New York City, which was another attraction. So many people run to Europe for programs, and here in New York we have wonderful facilities, and we're not using them.
And a lot
of young people who are here,
yeah.
you know. And we also have many people from the rest of the United States and some from Europe and South Africa, as a matter of fact.
So how long have you been doing this?
This is our 3rd year.
Isn't that wonderful? Is the importance of understanding the character and the world in which they live as important if you're singing with an orchestra and doing recitals as much as singing in an opera?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's just...
You're still
just
just telling
part
a
of that
story.
thing.
You are taking on a character along with your pianist, as along with your orchestra, because the colors that you bring together presents the entire program to the audience. You want the entire picture presented with the in-depth colors of each of the characters, including the colors of the character of the orchestra.
How many times when you sung in opera that you felt that people have not understood what they were, the context within which they were? Is that a terrible thing to ask?
It's not a terrible question. It's just that I don't know how to answer it, because once you get into a performance, you
You're
don't
so
stop
into it.
off
Yeah.
and look. You don't go away from the character and look at and say, "Oh, look, he's not really in character." Sometimes things happen that you're not. If someone comes out on stage and forgets what he's supposed to do, when you realize it's because he was never in character, you learn to deal with that.
Is it trite to say that this is method acting, singing? It's like...
You would like to think so, in that it comes from inside out rather than from outside in, but we don't have the privilege of taking your own time to draw that character out. We are limited. You want the truth of the character, because truth is always the answer, but you must have within what the composer has written and what the conductor is allowing to be your slow to fast and medium tempi, whatever they may be. You still have to fit those thoughts that you're having into that, which makes it even harder.
Very complicated.
Very difficult. Well, you see, Brando people used to say, "Oh, he was the ultimate method actor," but he took whatever time he needed to make something, and we can't always do that.
You started this course at Indiana University, but now you've retired.
Well, I retired just this month from Indiana University, not because I didn't love the course. I adored the young people that came into that course and kept it so alive and so wonderful for me. But traveling back and forth every few weeks became a little bit difficult with this New York course going on and classes. And I am really over 40.
You don't look it
at
all.
You're not looking. Take your glasses off.
Now, the class. How many students, and how do you find them? This is a very well-known program.
Well, very well known. We're hoping so.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
But we find them because they audition. We've had over 200 auditioning for this class. There are 30 in the class. We have 2 complete casts of Tales of Hoffmann and 2 complete casts of Così fan tutte. And we have something like 17 faculty.
Oh.
So we have language courses, combat, speaking the role, discussing the character and the background of the character, the actual coaching of the part, individual coaching, group coaching, as well as the rehearsals with the conductors. So they're there from 10 until 6.
That's a wonderful program.
It's intense.
And it goes over the summer. It started in June?
6 weeks. Started June 11th, and the last performances are July 19, 20, 21.
And those will be public performances?
Yes. It's a real theater and a wonderful theater, but Jesse Norman and I and many others opened that theater when it was renamed Marian Anderson.
Yeah. And you met Marian Anderson when you were young.
Several times.
Yes.
And
what was the first time? Do you remember? When did she sing? She stopped
Carnegie
singing.
Hall.
No, but it was a major thing with her first appearance at Carnegie Hall, wasn't it, in the 50s?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Oh, so almost every appearance she made was
major. Right.
But I think the notorious ones were the one on the steps in Washington, and the big notoriety that she wasn't allowed to sing in some places.
First African American.
Exactly, woman. But this woman was not just a woman and a great singer. She was truly a great queen, and I always say that you shouldn't be only for your color. This lady was for all young people. Yeah. She had a sense of duty to her art and to people of all kinds, and she was very special. And yet, when I met her, I thought I had known her for years. She was sort of natural and warm, and I was very impressed. Very, very impressed.
Very much like you.
No, I couldn't. I can't go near her.
You're very natural. You're very warm. Let me just ask you.
No comparison.
You went to Hunter College, the opera workshop. You had a wonderful education, public education.
Yes, I did.
And now you're really providing the same thing.
Don't you think that's what we're supposed to do?
Yes, I do.
Have a great career when
that.
you can, or as much of a career as you can, but then reach back and make sure that the young people are brought along, because we don't have books that tell you how to have a career and what you need to know in its entirety. There's so much that you learn through other performers, through going to performances, through, of course, your courses and your studies and your lessons, then the experience of getting out there and falling on your own face. and getting up and being successful.
But as we get older, also, it keeps us younger, doesn't it? To work with young people, I mean, it gives you a second
I hope
chance
so.
in a different way. I'd
Yes.
love to. So, last year you had, what concerts did you have last year? Maybe
Last year
could
we
hear.
had Don Giovanni and 3 acts of Don Pasquale.
I thought it would be nice, though, if we played a little bit, if we showed our viewers what it looks like, don't you think?
Please,
All right,
please.
so we will do that.
And remember, the important thing is that the ensemble, playing together, making the scene work together, interplay between characters.
So we're going to watch a little bit, I think, from Don Giovanni.
Please.
Thank you. Now that we've watched this and see how the ensemble works, at what point in the 6-week course do you always work together as the ensemble? I mean, then you go out and have your own lessons and do your own work and then come back again?
Well, but they spend the day working together and having
separately.
and separately.
But you start right away with the whole context
They're
of the...
supposed to have the music learned, and I say supposed to because we've had our issues there with what some young people think is learned. And I think it's in all of the programs that we have to impress on our young people what it means to be prepared, because this is a profession. If you're not prepared, you're thrown out rather quickly. And so this year and last year was much better. The first year, some of the young people came in half knowing it, but what they weren't prepared for was the importance of knowing it so that you could get into the character. You had to know what you were saying and what it meant. And of course, we emphasized that. And the next year, we emphasized it even more, and the next year was better.
How do you remember, I've always wondered, how do you learn all these roles?
Well, you have to know what you're saying and why you are and who you are.
When do you have the time? Do you remember when you first started singing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
Your first performance in an opera was where?
Murder in the Cathedral in 1958 in New
And
York
that's
City.
T.S. Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral?
That's the
opera based on that.
Assassino della Cattedrale, written by Ildebrando Pizzetti.
But it's based on?
The T.S. Eliot.
And how did you learn the part? When did you learn it?
Well, I went to my classes, not classes, I went to my coachings and worked out the musical part of it along with the language. I was fortunate in that my studies at Hunter College were comparative literature and romance languages, so I had a head start there than many who approach these operas not knowing the language at all. So I had an Italian under my belt, so to speak. That wasn't the difficult part. The difficult part was that it was not the tonal music that we know. It was a little bit modern. Use of another word, and I had to learn that carefully. And I'm not by nature a great musician because I studied to be a teacher. I didn't study to be an opera singer.
I was going to say, you studied the singing. You went to the opera workshop.
I went to
and
private
you did that,
workshops,
right,
private lessons,
yes,
and
you
the
studied
opera workshop.
languages. But then you were a teacher. Yes. But you were still studying while you were teaching.
Yes, voice, absolutely.
But then you became a caseworker in a welfare office.
Exactly. But I was a caseworker much longer than a teacher.
But when you go to work during the day and you're taking lessons, I would think that's developing your voice. When do you learn actually the score of the opera?
You
How
have
do you
to do that alone at home or
It's
with
amazing.
You cannot do. Well, I'm not the kind of musician who can sit and look at a score the way Betty Allen can look at it and read it. She's an ultimate musician.
I see.
I have to sit with a piano and a teacher and learn it, note by note. It's a rote learning, but you'd be surprised who people like Luciano Pavarotti also cannot read, but people like Placido Domingo can pick up a score and just read it because he studied harmony and theory and sight singing, and he's done it so long that he can do that. I still have to work with someone, to be honest.
So it's a repertoire that you develop over the years.
You learn it. You sit down and learn it, note for note.
Very hard work.
And word for word. Yes, it is.
What was it like, your first public appearance in an opera?
Wonderful. If this is what you want to do, if this is what you like, how can you say, of course we were nervous, and of course it didn't go 100%. As a matter of fact, the first performance at the Empire State Music Festival, the tent blew off, and we couldn't finish it, and we had to do it the following year at Carnegie Hall. But this is what life is for you. You want to perform, you go out and perform.
And are you nervous before you start?
I'm not personally nervous before. I get nervous after.
Oh, that's interesting.
Before I want to get out there.
Yeah, you've worked so
hard
on it.
It's a different type of expectancy.
A release of the Is it tense? No.
Not.
You love
tense. Yeah, I like getting out there.
Do you miss not being in the performances now?
No.
Yeah.
No, I thought that I would. I thought that life was over a little bit when I decided to stop performing, but. Of course, my mother always thought I was performing even when I was off stage. But
did she live to see you on stage and stuff?
Yes, that was one of the nicest moments of my life. Seeing her enjoy it as well. Yeah. But when you close the book, if you have nothing to do, I imagine you're unhappy. But because I always wanted to go back and teach and work with young people, they took up the time. They took up the energy. They were there. My life is fuller than it's ever been. And sometimes I think all of that life, the performing life, was leading to this one.
So interesting.
I don't crave to be on stage. I crave that they get on stage.
And then you sit there and watch them, and you're your mother.
And yes.
Are you going to have more, since you're not going to teach at Indiana, are you going to do other projects with your foundation in the city?
Oh, yes, we do have many projects. As a matter of fact, we have projects for the next 5 years planned, but mainly to stay involved with this program, the Prelude, to perhaps expand and join with other companies and do some working with other companies in other parts of the states and other countries, possibly. Bigger programs here. That's
great. And people are the public comes not only to the performances, but the public can come to rehearsals too.
Well, we can't say the public can just come to rehearsals. Yeah. What we do is we invite any school children, not any, but school children that from particular schools. We would take any school that can organize this. But Nancy Shankman at NYU arranges for us to have visitors from the various schools and old age homes. They come to the rehearsal or the rehearsals or performances, and we can't go out very easily because the course is so intense, and many of these young people go away afterwards and go on to other programs, and because these are young artists, they're not young children starting. Right. These are young people already into their career, getting into it anyway. Right. So then they go on to their next program.
They talk about the graying of the opera audiences.
Yes, I've heard that.
Do you find that opera? I mean, what do you think the future of opera is going to be? Is it going to revolve around large opera houses like the Metropolitan and others around the world, or?
Well,
what do you think?
Building itself is enlarging. I don't know of many cities that are now building small houses as a major house for their city or for their state.
New York has always tried to build in addition to the Met, a smaller.
We need them. Yeah. We need many small venues. First of all, many of the operas are not big Aida, Turandot colossals. You have the chamber operas where the intimacy is important. the schools have small auditoriums, and thank you, because these young voices should not be yelling in some of the larger halls. But I do think that it's our job to keep opera alive so that the audience will come. I know that many people are talking about the fact that Mr. Gelb and the Met are now going out and showing movie performances and bringing people into the opera world. I hope that they're coming not only into the opera world but into the opera house, because that's where we need them to support.
That's your
the Met.
Excitement of that kind of.
Well, both are exciting, but you have to be introduced some way. So, and I don't feel that my opinion or that I have enough information to tell anybody where it's going. I'm just hoping that it's going in the direction of bringing more people and the future into the Metropolitan, because without the people in the Metropolitan supporting it and keeping it going, it will eventually die, and we can't have that. There's too much wonderful talent in this world. There's too much glorious music to be heard, and we're hoping that more and more is being written. We have to stay positive and just do as much as we can that the artistic level is high.
And the interesting thing is, too, the theater is also beginning, I mean, it's not beginning, has moved towards closer to opera sometimes.
Well, you mean by having to...
performance, some of the musicals that have been written are operas, in a way.
Well,
I mean, it's a mixture, isn't it?
Well, if you stop and think of old musicals, the very first musicals, they were performed by opera or operatic or classical or trained, whatever, however you want to call it, voices. It became more of a dance medium later, but it was, you first had to sing, and you had to sing well. The style was different, but I think that you still had to be well trained. Then so you had to sing and sometimes dance. Then you had to dance and sometimes sing. And now I'm not sure what we're doing. But I don't think that one precludes the other.
No,
you know, they're all
interrelated.
What I don't think that you can think that because a man can produce a musical, he automatically can produce an opera. You know, there's much more has to.
Well, there's
be
something
out.
so special about the opera. It's so large. It's larger than
life.
I
think so, but I've seen some performances where they try to bring it down to just everyday.
Do you like the acting in an opera?
I think that's what it's about.
Yes,
acting and making the words live.
Yeah.
Not that I was a great actress, but that's probably why I want it more now than ever.
And did you love dressing up?
Completely. Completely. Putting on the makeup and living in that other person's skin. Absolutely.
Is there a favorite person you like to live in?
No one. Many. I loved, and I use the word love because people say, oh, you shouldn't say that when you're talking, but I loved Tosca. I love, and still do, love Amelia as a character, as a woman, what she did and what didn't happen in her life. I loved Aida. I thought that she was a wonderful person, but I didn't see as much of the humanity in Amelia as I did in the Verismo characters, like Tosca and Butterfly. Oh, Butterfly! I couldn't go to sleep after singing Butterfly because she stays with you so long, because you have to make her real.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to make her a person, and everybody is doing that. So what you get is another time, another people singing it. That's all. But it's theater sung.
People always, when they talk about a diva, what do they mean?
Do you mean, do you mean diva in the best sense of the word, or do you mean diva, the lady or the gentleman who puts on an act?
Airs. But that's not, right? A diva is really...
A diva is someone who does his or her best work as often as they can and always want to give to the audience as much of that character of themselves as they can. I don't think putting on a show backstage proves anything. Prove it to me on stage. Be a diva on stage. Yeah. And I don't think singing an opera aria when you're a pop singer makes you a diva. You got to pay your dues and learn and be a part of the profession, and then you're a diva in whatever profession it is. Yeah. But bad behavior has nothing to do with it.
People have written about you going on the Johnny Carson show.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Now, what did you do on the Johnny Carson show?
Nothing, just what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and you liked it.
Yes, because Johnny Carson, first of all, he was interested in what you had to say. Even if what we said was just informative, it wasn't any great information. It was what we were like, what performing was like. Yeah. It's amazing how many people wanted to know just that, because so many people think that we live in glass houses and eat caviar for breakfast, which is the biggest. I mean, they don't know that my mother used to scream, "Make your bed, you don't leave your bed unmade."
Do you cook at home now?
Not truthfully, not anymore. I used to adore cooking. We used to go after performances and stay up and make breakfast, but that was also letting off tension. Coming down from the part. As I said, after a butterfly, I just couldn't go to bed.
All right. Well, I'm going to think about this interview for a long time, because we've come to the end of it.
No, already?
We have. So I hope that we'll that people can look up the foundation on the internet.
Please do.
And also they can buy tickets, I think, or order tickets to the performances.
Exactly, and I hope to see many, many people there.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Martina. It's been delightful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
If there are any people you'd like to hear and topics you'd like us to explore, please let me know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.